welcome to this webinar. I'm really excited today to share great stuff about SaaS SEO with you. And also I'm with a great guy that I will introduce very soon. By the way, if you don't know me yet, my name is Sam. I'm the founder of thruuu. And if you don't know thruuu yet, what? You don't know thruuu yet, really? And thruuu is SEO Content Optimization Platform. I would like to say it's more designed for B2B content production. It will help you to do great research, analyzing your competitor, analyzing the SERP, creating content brief that you can share with a writer. You can as well build content plan by clustering keywords. I don't want to sell you my solution because today we are with Tom Shapiro, right? I pronounced that well. Tom is the founder of Stratabeat and a Boston-based agency focused on B2B as well and SaaS. Tom and Stratabeat work with large large clients like GE, Freshwork, Intel, mainly helping them with SEO, content, and web strategies. Is it correct, Tom? I forgot. You're also the author of a great book that I read. It's here, Rethink Lead Generation.
Yes.
But yes, exactly. It's here, right? Yes. And there is an affiliate link below. You can just click on the link below. And but finally, the most important part of Tom is that he's a thruuu user. Yes. And one of the first. So Tom, thank you to be here. I'm really happy to be with you today. I know you really well, by the way, and I'm really glad to spend this moment with you. So tell me, Tom, you approached me and you said that I did something really crazy. I analyzed 250 SaaS websites, right?
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah. So we looked at 250 different B2B SaaS websites. In fact, we looked at over 350 originally. But what we wanted to do was pare it down to the most relevant, the most useful data. And so we excluded any websites that, for example, might not have a sufficient sample size of data, might not have enough traffic, in other words, right? So we excluded those. And then any websites that had over 10 million in monthly organic traffic, it was really skewing the data. And so we excluded those as well. So we felt like 95% of the market is really in what we studied. And so hopefully the data that we're going to present to you today is very relevant, very tangible, very actionable for you.
Sorry, Tom, I have to interrupt you. So you remove all the sites with 10 million plus traffic, right?
Yes. So if it had 10 million plus, we removed it. Yes.
So you didn't include thruuu.com, right? Yeah. Okay, fine. Sorry, you can move on.
Okay, great. So Sam, okay to start the presentation? So as mentioned, this was a study of 250 different SaaS websites. They're all B2B. And as mentioned, any sites that didn't have enough traffic, we excluded those. Any that had over 10 million in monthly organic traffic, we excluded those as well. So hopefully this is going to be really actionable for you. Also, what we were looking at was January over January data. So we looked at this past January, and then we compared it against last January. So you're going to see a lot of assessments in here as to growth figures, whether we're talking about Google top 10 rankings or organic traffic or referring domains or backlinks, things like that. And so that's what that's referring to. And then, this is just a quick overview of the topics that we'll cover today. So we're going to look at blogging frequency as the first topic, and then audience segmentation, something I've never really heard SEOs dive deeply into. So I think it's a new, exciting area that we can explore. We'll look at different types of content, and then we'll look at, hey, how are the top 10% doing? What exactly are they doing differently? And takeaways for you. Again, we want to make this very actionable for you. Great. So let's start with blogging frequency. How often should you be blogging?
So tell me if I'm scrolling. Tom, sorry, tell me if I'm scrolling well, because I'm not sure.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's perfect. Yeah, so as you can see here, there's magic in blogging at least 5 to 8 times per month. What we did was we looked at, okay, well, what if you blog 1 time a month? What if you were blogging twice a month, 3 times a month, 4 times a month, 5 times a month, on and on. And what we found was there was a very clear delineation between going from 4 times a month and if you increased it slightly to 5 to 8 times a month at least. Now, the top performers on average, so the top 10%, the 25 top out of the 250 B2B websites, those were blogging 11 times per month. So I'm not saying that the data suggests that you should limit yourself to 8 a month. What we're saying is you should be looking at a minimum of 5 to 8 blogs per month. So Sam, if you want to scroll ahead. Yeah, so let's look at the impact on Google top 10 keywords, right? So your rankings. So what we found was those websites that were blogging only 1 to 4 times a month, they did have a slight increase in Google top 10 rankings over the course of the year, and that was 10.8%. But when you compare that to the websites that were blogging 5 to 8 times a month, so just slightly more, we're not talking about anything astronomically different. That slight difference produced outsized results. So those websites blogging 5 to 8 times a month improved their Google top 10 rankings by 47.9%. So close to 50%, pretty significant. So in other words, you're talking about a 4.4x difference in rankings growth rate. And if you think about, marketing, where else are you going to find a 4.4x ROI, right? I mean, this is pretty significant. So we just looked at the impact on rankings, but the good news is that if you increase your blogging frequency to 5 to 8 times a month at minimum, your benefits don't stop at rankings. Let's also talk about organic traffic. So this was even more significant a difference. So those websites that were blogging 1 to 4 times a month, they did see an increase in organic traffic on average of 12%. However, a huge difference if you just slightly increase your blogging to 5 to 8 times a month, those websites in the study actually increased their organic traffic by 103.3%. So, you're talking about roughly an 8.5x delta in growth rate. So very, very significant. Yeah, Sam, if you want to scroll ahead. Yeah, so as you can see here, just a massive difference in terms of the growth rate in organic traffic if you're blogging slightly more frequently. And then, there's another benefit of blogging more frequently as well. What we found was that those websites that were blogging 5 to 8 times a month actually had a 33.2% higher backlink growth rate than the websites that were blogging less frequently. So you're talking about rankings benefits, you're talking about organic traffic benefits, you're talking about backlink benefits. Just across the board, this is kind of a slam dunk. And as I mentioned earlier, let's zoom out, right? And what about the top 25 performers out of the entire set of 250 B2B websites, right? Well, they were blogging on average 11 times a month. So again, what we're talking about here is if you want serious SEO ROI, start blogging at least 5 to 8 times a month, but don't stop there. If you have the capacity, if you have the ability to blog more, the best performers were actually blogging 11 times per month. And the way that we look at this is something very actionable for you, because if you're already blogging, let's say once a month or, even 4 times a month, let's say weekly, then you already have the infrastructure in place to be blogging. You have writers, hopefully you have editors, right? You have a QA process, you have a publishing process, you have everything in place. Now what you need to do is just pour fuel on the fire, right? You just need to accelerate the process and you'll see better ROI. Now, what happens if you stop blogging? What we found was bad things happen when you stop blogging. For those websites that stopped blogging at a certain point, there was an average 15% decline in organic traffic. So if you do go down this route and you are going to commit to blogging, just stick with it on a pretty consistent frequency is what we would say.
It's end of the section, right, Tom?
Yes, that's correct.
We already have a lot of questions. So I think it will last 2 hours. It's good. I'm fine. I can save 2 hours. So when you mean new content, do you also include new content and optimize one, or only new content?
Both. So it includes a refresh, for example, or it includes something brand new.
All right. And also, what do you mean by top 10 ranking improvements? Number of keywords ranking within the top 10 position?
Exactly. The number of keywords. So very specifically, the number of keywords that are ranking in the top 10 positions in Google.
All right. Great. All right. Let's move on then to the next. Sorry if I forgot some question. Don't hesitate to re-ask. But yeah, let's move on to the next section. Tom?
Great. Audience segmentation. I'm really excited to share this with you because, you know, if you attend SEO conferences, if you attend digital marketing conferences, it's very rare when someone is talking about the impact of audience segmentation on SEO. In fact, I've been in SEO since 2005, literally since 2005. And I do not remember a single conference where someone was focusing on audience segmentation at a conference or with, say, a white paper or a study. So we're very excited to share this with you. Now, let's say that you have a website, right? And you have different audiences. And again, remember, these are B2B websites. And so typically with B2B, what you often find is there are different industry focuses. You might focus on healthcare, you might focus on government, you might focus on technology, hospitality, manufacturing, whatever it might happen to be. But many B2B companies focus on different industries. So what we looked at was for those websites that segmented their audience by industry and had content focused on specific industries, how did they fare against those websites that were really just more generically focused? They were not targeting specific industry segments. They didn't segment their audience, in other words. And what we found was audience segmentation does indeed improve SEO results. So as you're seeing here, the number of keywords ranking in the top 10 positions in Google, there's a pretty significant impact here. So for those websites that were segmenting the audience, so 80% of those that segmented the audience, 80% did improve and increase the number of keywords in the top 10. The average increase in top 10 keywords was 31.7% for those who segmented their audience. You compare that against the websites that were not segmenting the audience, and the improvement year over year was only 12%. So put another way, you're talking about a 2.6x improvement in top 10 keyword growth rate. So again, pretty significant. And for those that did segment their audience in their website, and those who did improve their performance, the average increase in performance was 48.9%. So almost a 50% improvement in the number of keywords that were ranking in the Google top 10. So very significant. And let's take a step back. You know, I love this insight because it can help all of us, right? This is something that is low-hanging fruit. It is actually easier to rank in Google if you segment your audience and you focus on these long tail types of keywords, right? So in other words, let's just say hypothetically that you want to sell CRM software or accounting software, right? Well, if you're targeting the phrase CRM software or you're targeting the phrase accounting software, you know, it's pretty competitive. But if you try and target CRM software for hospitality or CRM software for restaurants, CRM software for technology, CRM software for government, whatever it might happen to be, for manufacturing, on and on and on. Same with accounting software. When you do that, you're targeting the long tail. When you target the long tail, there's less competition. There's necessarily less competition. Also, another nice benefit of doing this is it's going to be more highly qualified traffic, and it's going to be more likely to convert. You can also have a more customized conversation with them, and so you can resonate more deeply with them. So we love this insight and recommend that everyone, if you're not segmenting your audience today in your website, or if you have clients, if they're not segmenting their audience, start working on that immediately. Another thing that we wanted to point out was also there's a referring domain benefit. So in other words, the number of websites that are pointing links at you. So for those websites that segment the audience, there was an average increase year over year in referring domains of 29.3%, so close to 30%.
Tom, this is really great, by the way, because I also can say that at thruuu, we follow this strategy. For instance, our tool helps to create topic cluster. And we created also contents that are really focused on topic cluster for SaaS. Obviously, it's a zero volume keyword, but as you say, it's a long tail. And here you can also be sure to rank faster at the first post, at the first spot. And also it's more, let's say, it's when somebody ends up on your content, he's sure that he's more engaged with your content and that it might convert better, So
yes,
something quite good. I got some questions from the audience, by the way. So Christy is asking if audience segmentation align with ABM strategies.
Yes,
and
they do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is. Audience segmentation absolutely aligns with ABM. You're absolutely correct on that, and it's very, very effective. And obviously, with ABM, the more targeted you can be, the better. So ABM can work in different ways. You can target an industry. You can target a specific account. You can target a specific company. So certain accounts have multiple brands within it, right? And some have multiple companies within it. You can target specific departments. You can target specific roles with ABM. So absolutely, ABM obviously is very different than SEO. It's a very, very different marketing strategy. But I agree with you that it can be very, very effective, and it perfectly aligns with this.
And so is Chris asking audience segmentation? You mentioned CRM software for ... Could you mention a few more examples for segmenting the audience directly at the keyword level?
Yeah, sure. So imagine that you are selling SEO, for example, right? So SEO services. You could do SEO services for financial services. You could do SEO services for law firms. You could do SEO services for small business. You could do SEO services, enterprise SEO services, right? So there pretty much any B2B business or most B2B businesses, let's say, there is an opportunity to segment who you're going after and how you're going after. And again, trying to win on SEO services, just hypothetically, right, is going to be much harder than trying to win on SEO services for financial services or SEO services for banks, SEO services for insurance companies, right? That's obviously going to be much, much easier.
But also Meg, she came with a great comment. It's not, do you find segmentation more for role level or industry level? It can be both, right? You can segment for specific industry, but as well, inside an industry, specific roles. So we have, for marketers, for IT, for, HR. So you can have different level of segmentation, the industry plus the role. And then based on that, I guess you can really build a great content strategy. And you can build content templates or article template that you can reuse for all these different, segments, basically. Yeah. Agree, Tom?
Yes, absolutely.
I will share with you guys my article about the topic cluster for SaaS and another one, and you will see that two are more or less the same, but at the end they target different keywords. And Tom, I'll let you continue explaining the next section about tools.
Excellent. Great. So yeah, so we looked at various things, blogging frequency, we looked at audience segmentation. Let's talk about content types. So online tools is one of the most effective things that you can do if you want to improve your SEO results. Yeah, you can scroll ahead. Yep. So if we want to talk about the number of keywords ranking in the Google top 10, there's a big impact here. So those who offered online tools in their websites on average increased the number of keywords ranking in the Google top 10 by 41%. Those without offering tools also saw an increase, but it was slight. It was around 16%. And so again, zooming out, you're talking about a 2.5 differential versus, those offering tools versus those not offering tools. So a very substantial ROI on offering tools. And again, we're not just talking about keyword placement in the top 10. We're also talking about organic traffic increases as well. So what we found was, Sam, if you can scroll up a little bit. Yep, there we go. So those offering online tools increased their organic traffic. So the actual traffic itself by 20% year over year. Those not offering tools increased only slightly, 6.4%. And so you're talking about, more than a 3x differential here. And Sam, you can scroll ahead. Yeah, so it's a 3.1x difference in organic traffic growth rate. So again, an indication that this is something significant and substantial to invest in. And also, if we look at backlinks, I think that we're all aware, and there's been a lot of talk in the industry for years in terms of the links, the backlinks that you can get from online tools. And so that's just one more benefit. We did see evidence of this in our study as well. And what we saw was an average increase in referring domains. So the number of websites pointing links at these websites, an increase of 31%. And an example of a website that does
a great one. It's a great example. Where did you find that?
It took me a while to find it. No, so Sam does a great job with the through website. The online tools. First of all, I love the online tools that are offered here, but also just taking a step back and looking objectively at this. Does it increase organic performance? And Sam, if you can scroll ahead a little bit, you can see here, this is looking at actual organic traffic and visibility in Google over the course of just 1 year. So very, very substantial. And then Sam, maybe you can walk us through not only visibility and traffic, but how else have the online tools benefited your business?
Yeah, sure. And I will answer the question from Janet. So first, the tools are ungated. Obviously, I don't ask for a login or anything, or for an email, nothing. It's just free. And here you can see I created first a kind of pillar page that will list all the tools. And then on every single tool, you first have access to the tool. And then below, I have another section to invite people to try the paid version of my SaaS, obviously. So this is also the strategy. The goal is that you drive traffic to this page. People can try this feature for free. And usually the feature should be something that is already included in your SaaS, a kind of appetizer, just to give them a taste of what your tool can bring. And obviously, you need to invite them then to try the paid tool, to show them that if they go for the paid tool, they can do something at scale or something better, etc. And about the results. So here you can see. I started this 12 months ago. And by the way, it was credits to Tom as well. We had a discussion 12 months ago with Tom, and he said you should try free tools on your website. And yes, only 5 tools, by the way, only 5 free tools, ranking really well for the targeted keywords and a lot of traffic, but not only, also good conversion. I mean, the tools bring 10% conversion per month, so it's quite good, you know, only with 5 tools. I could have more signups if I build more tool. Also quite interesting, I mean, the cost of a tool. I mean, the cost of building a free tool is maybe, let's say, 2 or 3 days of development work. If you compare, so I don't know the rate of a developer in the US or in your market, but let's say it's maybe 5,000, 10,000 max for a free tool, compared to the cost of creating article and compare with the ROI you get. So at the end, creating free tool is worth it. And it's, for me, the best strategy, in fact. I mean, at least it's the best strategy for thruuu.com. Yes, so great. And if you have any other question, yes, any other question, don't hesitate. So Tom, let's move on.
Great. Excellent. So just like Sam was explaining that, you know, there are various benefits to the online tools, right? It's not just rankings, not just links, but for the actual business itself, there's an impact. And it's the same with original research as well. We find that the benefits of original research are really multifaceted. We're not just talking about SEO benefits, but also cutting through the noise, differentiation, just topical authority, thought leadership, getting in front of executives. There's so many benefits of original research. We also see a lot of increases in leads whenever we're engaged with original research with clients. So we're a strong proponent of this, and we wanted to see in our study, okay, what is the actual impact on SEO? And so original research as well helps you increase the number of keywords, ranking in the top 10 in Google. What we found was those websites offering original research increased the number of keywords ranking in the top 10 by 25.1% year over year. And those who were offering original research and increased their top 10 keywords, the average improvement was a 36% improvement. So again, something substantial enough to, you know, kind of to pay attention to and to lean into. And, you know, again, a comparison against those websites that were not offering original research, what we found was the rankings growth rate was 2.x higher if you were offering original research. So, you know, a very strong argument as to why you would want to invest there. And let's not forget about the benefits of backlinks as well. So I mentioned multifaceted benefits. One of the benefits of original research is that you can get a lot of mentions. You can get a lot of very, very high quality backlinks this way. So what we found was those websites offering original research had an average growth rate of their referring domains year over year of 28.5%. And then just an example for you, you know, what do we mean by original research? Because, you know, we get that question quite a lot, like, well, what defines original research? And it's really, you know, anything where you're going out and collecting data. It can be your own data in your own databases, or it can be third-party data. It can be customer data. It can be government data. Different companies do different types of research based on the particular study that they want to do. Here's an example from BuzzSumo that I really like. So they analyzed 100 million articles to see what were the most effective headlines. One, you know, it's a really interesting topic, but you can see they analyzed 100 million articles. That's pretty, you know, it captivates you. It makes you want to read it, want to mention it, want to link to it, all of those great things. And Sam, if we scroll to the next page, just this one URL alone, not any related content, not any supportive content, not anything else, just this one URL with the study results resulted in, today, if you look, there are 1,275 active referring domains. Now, I know that, you know, over time, this was higher at a certain point, but like any website, like any URL, links come and go, right? You lose them sometimes. But today, the fact that they still have 1,275 for just one URL, I think all of us would love to have URLs that have 1,275 backlinks directed towards them deep in our website. And so again, just to stress the value of original research to you.
Yes. Also, what I would like to say here, I just had an idea. I mean, what will be really trending in the next few years? It's LLMO, large language model optimization. So how to end up in this AI overviews, right? And I'm pretty convinced that this original research might help, because at the end, you will be alone. There won't be any competition for this specific topic. So maybe AI model and large language model might pick your content better. So let's see if I'm right. It's recorded. We can check in a few years if this statement is correct.
Sounds
there
good.
is no question so far on this one. So let's move on.
Great. Yeah. So like I said, remember I was talking about audience segmentation, and I've been in SEO since 2005, and I've never seen anyone really dive deep into it and specify the impact of audience segmentation on SEO. Same thing with custom graphics. I've never seen any study on the impact of custom graphics on SEO. So again, with this study, we just wanted to explore new areas that perhaps could open some eyes. And so with custom graphics, we were curious because Google seems to prefer custom graphics. And these are just some examples, right, by what we mean by custom graphics. So we're specifically talking about in your blog, do you use stock photography? Do you use, stock, versus are you creating something custom? So for one of the Stratabeat blogs, for example, here's an example of just some custom graphics that we've used. And, over the past year, we've been leaning very, very heavily into custom graphics. But it is a fair question. Okay, that's great, but does it really impact SEO results? Our suspicion was it does. And our suspicion is that it's going to increasingly impact SEO results, because Google wants to fight AI content, right? Google wants to fight like this genericized content, this mishmash from AI, and really look for overwhelming value, unique value, differentiated value, something that goes beyond what's typically or what is available today in the SERP. And what we found was our suspicion was correct in that there is a benefit. So what we found was those blogs that were using custom graphics as opposed to stock photography or stock images had an increase in the number of keywords ranking in the top 10 in Google of 30.2%. Those that relied on stock or didn't have any graphics at all, they were at 18.8%. And so you can see it's not as big a differential as with, you can scroll to the next slide, Tim. Yeah, it's not as big a differential as the other factors that we were looking at. In this case, all we saw was a 60% or 61% increase in the growth rate. But this is what I'm going to encourage you to do. Keep paying attention to this and keep leaning into custom graphics, because my guess is that as we continue this study, as we update it throughout the year this year, as we look at it 12 months from now, my guess is that this number is going to double or triple. I honestly believe that. I think that Google is more and more leaning into value. It wants unique value, differentiated value, and custom graphics is just one more ingredient in baking that cake. And as you might expect with custom graphics, you are having a different impression on your readers. It is something that's a bit more memorable than if they're just looking at a bunch of stock images that they've seen, 5 times in the past. And so what we're seeing is an increase in referring domains year over year for those blogs that do include custom graphics, that lean on the custom graphics instead of stock, of 30%.
One comment here from my side. So also, it goes beyond SEO. I mean, you can also think about content repurposing. And I always think about that. So when I create a blog, I like to include custom graphics, my own graphics, because from one blog post, I also need to create maybe 5 LinkedIn posts. I need to be able to then cut every single section, and with a nice graphic, you can just speak again, repurpose your content. You can also create carousels. So I always think about that. Content production, creating great content is a bit expensive. I'm not speaking about AI generated one, but so always think about that, how you can also repurpose the content later on. So it's my advice here. And also, by the way, also what you said, I have some images that are ranking first. Once I was checking in the Search Console, one keyword was ranking first, but I didn't find my article. And then I noticed there is an image box at the top that is driving traffic to my website. So nice image, bring traffic.
Yes. Yeah, totally agree. There are multiple benefits of using custom graphics. It's also great for branding, great for differentiation, great for recall, memory, all of that good stuff.
Exactly. And brand awareness, obviously. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so that was a look at the different factors, or at least these were highlights of factors that we looked at in our study. Now, what I also want to do is share with you what were the top 25 websites doing. So the top 10% of the entire database of sites that we looked at, what were they doing specifically to be so superlative with their results? And what was interesting was we noticed that the top 10%, they weren't just good in one area, they were good across the board. So they were really looking at SEO holistically, and they were improving in multiple areas. They were better than the mean across the entire database for the number of keywords that were ranking in the Google top 10, the growth rate for that, the growth rate for organic traffic, and the growth rate for referring domains. Pretty much any which way that we looked at comparing the top 25 versus the overall database, the top 25 were performing better. So what were they focusing on? Well, they were blogging on average 11 times a month. So remember earlier we were saying, at least minimum you should be blogging 5 to 8 times a month. But if you really want to crush it, think about blogging a minimum of 11 times a month. That's what we saw the top performers doing. They were offering tools and original research in more cases than the general database. They used author bios more, which is fantastic for things like Google Eat. So, right, experience, expertise, authoritativeness, trust, which again, in Google's fight against AI-generated content, Google Eat is taking on more and more prominence, priority. They were leaning into audience segmentation more. We spoke about the value there. They were also focused on optimized internal linking more than the overall group. So you can see they took a multifaceted, holistic approach to SEO. It wasn't just trying to find a silver bullet. And some of the websites in the top 25, so the top 10%, were big time bloggers. So I mentioned that overall for the top 25, they averaged 11 blog posts per month. But we were seeing some with 14 a month, 22 a month, 20 a month, whatever it might happen to be. But there were some that were really blogging quite frequently. One, just to give you an example, was blogging 22 times a month, and they increased their monthly organic traffic by 182.2% year over year. And then just looking, okay, the top 10%, the top performers versus the overall database. So you're talking about looking at the top 25, how did they do in terms of increasing the Google top 10 keywords? Well, on average, they increased those keywords by 153.7%. In terms of organic traffic, they increased their organic traffic by 148.9% year over year. And then looking at referring domains, they increased the number of websites pointing links at them by 62.7% year over year. So, there's a snapshot of how the top performers were doing.
Just one comment, Danielle, sorry. She said they agree with you. She's the only one, I think, in fact. She said with 20 blog, we blog daily and we get 300% growth. So yes.
Yeah, excellent. That's great to see. That's great to hear. Okay, excellent. So yeah, just some actionable takeaways for you that you can start implementing this week. Literally this week, you can start implementing these things. So blogging frequency matters, right? We were very clear on the benefits of blogging 5 to 8 times a month at minimum versus less frequently. There's a clear delineation with that number between 1 to 4 and 5 to 8. But again, if you have the capacity, if you can do it, the top performers were blogging on average 11 posts per month. And so if you have the capacity, we would definitely recommend blogging at least 11 times a month if you'd like to be a top performer, if you have the capacity, if you can invest in that way. And like we said, audience segmentation really works. Very, very effective. So if you're not segmenting your audience in your website today, look towards segmenting by industry, or as we discussed, you can also look at different ways of segmenting the audience. You can look at it by role in the company, right? Sam had mentioned, you can look at HR versus the CEO versus sales versus marketing versus operations versus IT, right? The power of online tools and original research. Hopefully you saw that in the numbers and in the specific examples that we gave, including the example of thruuu's use of online tools, where you can see very, very clear benefits across the board, whether we're talking about SEO benefits, or whether we're talking about traffic benefits, whether we're talking about cutting through the noise, branding benefits, lead generation benefits, backlink benefits. I mean, it really is across the board. And if you were to ask, were there any surprises in the data that we're looking at? Probably the biggest surprise that I would mention is we expected to be a bigger delta in backlinks and referring domains when looking at things like online tools and original research. So with online tools, with original research, we all know that those produce very solid backlink and referring domain growth, as we've seen in the data here today, right? What we were expecting, though, was a bigger, wider gap between the sites that were offering online tools and original research versus those who were not, in terms of specifically referring domains and backlinks. So that was a bit of a surprise.
Sorry, I was answering a question.
Yeah, no worries. And I can even go a little further on that surprise. So one of the things which I would mention is what we were looking at specifically was overall growth of referring domains and backlinks at the domain level, right? So what we're going to be doing moving forward is a more granular analysis of what was the specific referring domain and backlink growth at the URL level, right? So if we're talking about specific online tools, if we're talking about specific original research, looking specifically at those URLs and calling those out in a more granular way. So look for future iterations of the research where we'll go into more detail. Yeah, so hopefully you found the study to be very helpful, very actionable. Just a little bit about Stratabeat. As Sam mentioned, we're an organic growth agency. So yeah, we do SEO, we do content, we do web design, we do conversion optimization. That really is who we are. One of our biggest differentiators is we apply brain science to everything we do, whether we're talking about psychology or neuroscience or behavioral intelligence. And yeah, we work with a wide variety of brands, whether we're talking about startups, whether we're talking about mid-market companies, or whether we're talking about the Fortune 500 company. And here are just a few examples for you. And then, as we mentioned, I've written 2 books. The most recent one is the red one, Rethink Lead Generation. There is an entire chapter all about web strategies on how you can unleash growth with your leads. There's an entire chapter on SEO and content. There's an entire chapter on ABM. There's an entire chapter on referrals, right? So all these organic methods of increasing your leads. So if that's of interest, I'd encourage you to check it out.
Yeah, and I have to say, you offer me one book, thank you, and really great, really practical, a lot of example. I like it.
Great, great.
So, Tom, before closing, I mean, I also wanted to share an original study done by thruuu.
Yeah.
So that will basically as well complete or validate what you just said. I published this article early this month. Basically, it's the last 12 months. You might understand that thruuu is a SaaS as well. It's a small SaaS. I mean, I'm the founder. I'm working with freelancer. I don't have a lot of, let's say, I don't have a big content operation team, right? So for the moment, unfortunately, but still, you can get great results. And I apply 3 strategies. The first one basically is creating free tools. So this is what Tom said. For me, it's the best strategy. I mean, in terms of cost, in terms of impact. Then the second one, also, I will send you the link to this article, is creating BOFU content. So really focusing on bottom of the funnel, right? Kind of listicle, and as well link a bit to the segmentation, creating a bit listicle or bottom of the funnel content for a specific audience. And finally, one of the strategies also that that work well for thruuu is creating topic cluster. So here it's also creating quality content, frequent content, linking them together. I might do a webinar about this 3 strategy in detail, and maybe Tom, I can invite you and you will ask me questions this time. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. And if you have, there is few questions that maybe we can answer and have a quick yeah, we still have 9 minutes before the end. Maybe I can stop sharing now. And so there is few questions. Let me come back. Yeah, so Paul was asking any guidance on content length.
On content, I'm sorry?
On the length. Sorry, my length. French accent. My French accent.
No. No, that's a great question. Yeah. So, we are studying that right now. So that was not included in the original study looking at the impact of content length. But our plan is to evolve this research and have it as a living, breathing database of tracking what works for SaaS SEO over time. And so, because we know that Google is coming out with new things all the time, changing the algorithm all the time. We want to keep up with those changes. So love the question about content length, and that is going to be in a future iteration of the study. So I don't have the answer for you today in terms of this particular study. In terms of what we have seen through the years with many, many different clients and with ourselves, is what you want to do is align with search intent. And so with certain search intent, sometimes a short piece is what they're looking for, and that's fine. In other cases, though, be aware that Google may be thinking, the search intent is going to require 2,000 or 3,000 words of content to fully and comprehensively answer the question, right? And that's going to provide relevance, right? And so what you want to do is a SERP analysis. thruuu is a great tool for doing that. And that's what we do. That is our standard tool for doing a SERP analysis, is using thruuu. And you can easily see content length, and you can see the average content length for any SERP for any keyword. And that, at least, allow that to guide you for now. And then we will have complementary data for you a little later this year in terms of what we're seeing with these 250 websites.
Great. So a few questions. What was the balance in your study between startups and enterprise SaaS?
Yeah, so it was a healthy balance, but I will say, keep in mind, if there was a startup in 2023, so let's say it was a startup from last January or last June, they were not included. So any company that started up in the past year was not included. We need a sufficient sample size of data. And that means, you know, we need companies that at least have been in the game a little bit.
Great. Another question. Have you found that the smaller SaaS are more eager to test strategies you described?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So I think in general, I think you're right. I think that smaller companies are more eager to test. However, I would say that there are many larger companies which are also very into testing. I mean, really into testing, more so than even the smaller companies. And so it all depends. In the end, it depends on the company. And certain companies have a culture of testing where, for example, we have certain clients where we are coming at them with new tests every month. Every single month, we're coming at them with new tests, right? And they have enough data, they have enough website traffic to do that and to come away with conclusions, very decisive conclusions. If you don't have enough traffic today, it's very difficult to have rapid fire tests. You need a sufficient sample size of data before you determine winners and losers. Otherwise, you come to a completely wrong conclusion if you're basing it off of insufficient data. And so what I would say is it really depends on the company. It really does.
What's your advice to enterprise SaaS who have to navigate a lot of red tape? I'm not sure what it means with red tape, to be honest, but
so red tape is dealing with bureaucracy, it's dealing with paperwork, it's dealing with getting approvals to do things. Right. Or it might be like getting any changes into your website takes 3 months or 6 months because you have to submit a ticket. There's a queue, right. They run in sprints. If it's not included in this sprint or the next sprint, you're waiting and waiting and waiting. So yeah, so we see that a lot in terms of making significant changes to a website for an enterprise. So some of the ways that you can get around that is to work with the actual website developers. If you're trying to work in a silo and then you're just like submitting tickets and you're never talking to the actual individuals, the actual people who are responsible for affecting these changes, yeah, your tickets are probably not going to be prioritized. Why? Because they don't have the context. They don't understand how it can impact business results. And so what you want to do is have conversations with them, have conversations with a VP or someone in the C-suite who is responsible for these changes in the website, and make them aware of the business impact, the revenue impact, the leads impact that it's going to have. You have to focus on business results.
We still have 3 minutes, so a few more questions. Do you recommend gated content?
Yes. So both, right? Like there are purposes for both, and they have benefits, and you should lean into both. And we think you can parallel path with both. So what do I mean by that? I mean, if something is like an original research project where like this study, right, where it takes you a long time and a lot of effort and a lot of hours to put together, then you probably want to gate the content, right? You just want to see the ROI of lead gen come through with that content. If it's more lightweight, then we would say absolutely ungate it, right? And just give your audience information, give them answers. It's a great experience for them if they can just quickly access what they're looking for. And so we would say parallel path. If it's more lightweight content that you're producing, just try it, give it to them, but also, you can always test. You can always test gated versus ungated and see the results.
We will take a last one from Janet. Strategies for repurposing content? Question mark.
Yeah. So repurposing content is great for SEO. It's great for your content results. It's great for your traffic results. It's just, we're huge fans of repurposing content. Now, it also produces an amazing ROI. So if you look at a company like SAP, they're a very large software company, right? So they're, I think, $25-30 billion US a year in sales, so massive. But what I love about them is how they repurpose content, and I think that we can learn from them. And so their head of global content, Ginger Schmitt, I interviewed her for one of my books, and she walked me through their content repurposing process. And the quick overview of that is they'll take one concept and easily create 600 to 650 derivative pieces of content. It can be directed at different audience segments. It can be, okay, here, we're going to take this base piece of content and we're going to put it into different formats. Oh, this is going to be for social media. Oh, this is going to be for video. Oh, this is going to be for audio. Oh, this is going to be short form. This is going to be long form. So imagine that one topic, they create 600 to 650 derivative pieces of content, and typically they will generate tens of millions of dollars in new sales pipeline from that one campaign, that one topic. So I would say sky's the limit, whether you're talking about audience segmentation, whether you're talking about formats, whether you're talking about distribution channels.
Tom, it was too good, I think. Honestly, it was too good. Too short. It was 1 hour now, but honestly, I mean, what do you think in the chat? I mean, we need to close very soon this session, but I mean, Tom, thank you. Really, thank you. I mean, amazing work that you have done, amazing advice, amazing data that you shared with us today. I hope that everybody in the chat liked it. Just say a little thank you or bye. Excellent content, yes. And don't hesitate. I mean, you have our email address. You can find us online, right? On LinkedIn, Tom. Anybody can grab you on stratabeat.com.
Absolutely.
Also, don't hesitate if you don't know through yet. Have a look. You can start a free trial. It can also help you to create great content. This is a goal. We want to create great content, right, Tom?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'd just like to chime in as well and thank everyone. You've bbeen a fantastic audience. Really appreciate you attending. Also appreciate all the questions. You had so many great questions. So thanks for all the engagement and the interest. And hopefully you're going to walk away with very tangible ideas of how you're going to move the needle for your SEO moving forward. So good luck to all of you. And yeah, as Sam said, both of us are available. So connect with us on LinkedIn. Connect with us, through Stratabeat, and very happy to answer any other questions that you have in the future.
All right, great. So let's close this webinar, Tom. Are you okay? I know it's a bit. I never like this moment when you have to say goodbye to all my new friends. It's
I feel like we're a family now.
Exactly. Now we are part of the same family. We share something together. We are the family now. So. Exactly. Nobody wants to leave. They all stay in the chat now. No, look, people, you have to leave. It's over. No, okay. Thank you, everybody. So, and see you soon. I forgot, but no, it's too late. Next month, well, there is still some people in the chat. Next month, I do a webinar where I will go through my content workflow. I will explain how I create content with thruuu and how I create content brief, how I work with my writer. I forgot to do my own promotion. I'm so stupid, but it's okay. Yes, so come to my webinar as well. I mean, it's our webinar. Okay, guys. So have a nice evening. Tom, thank you again. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you, Sam, and thank you, everyone.